The Villain's Demand reviews 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Hey guys, it's The Villain's Demand. I'm Evan the Great. This is JVD, Justin Von Doom. Today we're going to give you all a movie review over 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Before we get started, let's take everybody back to the summer of 2007. Me, you, Hero Man from the show, our buddy Mike Rudd, who's going to appear on our Daredevil episode, cousin Russ Bus. We're all sitting there getting ready to watch Transformers. Everybody had been waiting on this movie for years. And trailer come on. And people running around. Looks like it's in a city. At the end of it, the head of the Statue of Liberty comes screeching down the street, and then it pops up 1/18/08. And we're all looking at each other like, what is this? You know, what did, and I remember being more excited about that than Transformers after it was over. Because I knew it was some type of giant monster movie, some kaiju movie. So, there's a line in the movie that made everybody think that it said, it's a lion, and everybody thought, oh my god, they're going to do a Voltron movie. Live action Voltron, because we just got Transformers, you know, you never had anything like this. And people were excited. And then a lot of people started thinking, no, this is a sequel to the 1998 Godzilla movie. And, which there was some debate where people thought, no, because you had the Godzilla cartoon series after that, that followed up with the egg at the end of that movie. Then we got the title, Cloverfield. And everybody was like, what is this? And then it's viral marketing hit in. And it's probably the greatest viral marketing campaign ever for a movie. I do believe this is probably the start of something like that. You look recently at Deadpool and how great Deadpool's marketing was. And Deadpool probably had the greatest one census movie. This is, well, the original, I should say. And I tried to stay away from it as much as possible. Because at this time, everybody knew it was a giant monster movie. I didn't have a computer. It really helped. Probably about a week before the movie come out, me and my buddy Sanders, I was supposed to be looking for a job. We wound up on the computer for like 6 hours. And we were at Slush Show JP trying to find something out. We went through all the websites. I remember something about the movie come up on MTV, and we left where his computer room was, and his speakers were really loud. I don't know. He's probably watching like porn at the time or something. And the roar of this monster come blaring out of the speakers. Apparently, when you were on the site for so long, it done this. It's like a trigger effect. Scared the living hell out of us, and we was like, what the hell? And then we were finding all these designs of what people thought the monster was going to be. And I remember seeing one, and we talked about this afterwards, me and him, when the movie came out, that we seen one that was almost exact to what Clover looked like. So, for years and years and years, people still was looking up stuff on Cloverfield. There was still viral marketing coming out after the movie. And I remember for years, once I got a computer, man, even now and then, I remember just looking up, and I'd catch myself 2-3 hours wasting time, you know, just looking at Cloverfield stuff, because there was so much mystery surrounding the movie. And then back in January, one of these movies, like based on something that happened in Iraq and whatnot, had come out, and then everybody was shocked because there was a trailer, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Mind was blown. The internet was set on fire with it. And then at the time, I was a admin on the Godzilla and Kaiju page on Facebook. If you're big into monsters, look those guys out. Typed in the website's date. And you could do that with Cloverfield when it first came out, 1/18/08. So I typed in the date, and a picture of a bomb shelter appeared. And that's what we kind of knew was the basis for the movie, was a bomb shelter. These people were in this cellar. And I got to looking around. The person who was set to had drew the illustration of the old bomb shelter, and this is from like Cold War era stuff. Looked them up, and then I found a whole article on that bomb shelter, and I posted it to their page. They were really excited for hours. We were sitting there talking about it, trying to find out things, and the viral marketing for 10 Cloverfield Lane started. And being smart, I stayed away from it. I did not want to get locked into it. I did that for like 5 hours when I find that. I'm like, man, I just wasted all this time. I try to stay away from it. So, I know one big thing that come out of the viral marketing is someone found a bag in Louisiana, where this movie takes place at. And it was a survival kit for like an apocalypse. And it had some notes, and I thought that was really cool that someone found clues that led to this actual item, memorabilia, to be found. Yeah. I thought, wow, lucky that dude. And the movie come out, and I guess now we'll start to break down what we thought was good and bad about 10 Cloverfield Lane. Want to take us away there, buddy?
Yeah. So this movie is, when it takes off, there is there's these people. There's actually, does it take off for the wreck when he hits the girl off the road?
No. It's going back to where her and the guy are talking.
Yeah, she's in the car driving. She's texting her boyfriend, not talking to him, not answering his phone calls, and then she gets like knocked off the road. And then when she wakes up, she's in like a room, and she's on a bed, and her clothes are stacked in a neat pile, and she's locked in with a chain. Eventually, a main character comes in there. Who's he played by again?
The character, John Goodman.
Yes, John Goodman. I always
Howard.
forget his name. Howard. Howard comes in. A terrific job of playing this character, by the way.
And he sets the tone for
Yes.
this movie very much.
He does. I'm going to try not to tell all the movie, but kind of go through it. But it's a lot to it, even though it's in all in the same place for the most part. When he comes in, he talks to her, and she's all scared, and he tells her she can't call anybody. There's been an invasion. You can't go outside. You can't breathe the air in. That's the premise of the movie, and that's why she's in here. Well, she winds up, there's another guy in there. They get to talking, and he helped John build.
Emmett.
Yeah, Emmett. Emmett helps Howard build this shelter because he knows this is going to happen, and he's like what do they call them people? That collect food and survival.
He's a doomsday prepper.
Yeah, he's
he
kind of
worked
like
for the Navy.
Yes.
You can look at viral marketing. I didn't want to look at any of that, but yes, he worked for the Navy. They talk about it in the movie.
So he paid him to help him build this thing, and then he brings Emmett in, and then he has to bring her in, and the movie takes place all in this shelter.
And to me, it makes you feel claustrophobic just watching the movie because it's a small area, and literally all of, like, I'd say everything but the last 15 minutes take place in the movie.
Yeah, in most movies, the movies I've seen like that, one of them is Dread. It's all in basically one complex, basically, when you get in there. This movie's all in one place. The first Saw, all in one place.
Even though the movie Saw kind of jumps in and out, but yes, it's all in one place.
Basically, it's all in one place.
It makes you feel the suspense.
And it does, man. This movie had a lot of suspense to it. It had a lot of... He had these people put in here because Howard was going to be bored, I think. So he has the girl and the guy in there, and he cooks for them and tells them they can't leave, and she gets curious, and he goes and shows her what it does, and this woman like runs up to the window, and her skin starts deteriorating.
Now this is where you're wrong. You didn't catch on to this, did you? He only wanted her. Remember where, the air purifier thing messes up, right? She goes up in there, remember she helped?
Yeah.
And she tells him, and then she shows him the picture of his daughter, and Emmett's like, that's not his daughter.
Yeah, she finds
And he
out.
tells her that's a girl that disappeared.
Yeah, and he captured her and killed her.
Well, you would assume.
Yeah.
So there's something there about John Goodman that you don't know about. Like, you know he's off in the head. And they talk about how he was married, and him and his daughter, they went to Chicago or something like that. But there's a lot of mystery behind his character, and he is this movie, except for the end of it. And this movie basically is two different movies. You have everything at the cellar, and then everything that happens outside the cellar when she escapes. Now,
I like all the scenes leading up to her escape scene.
Yes.
She's a clothes designer, or wanting to be one.
It's very well put together. The plot is...
I gotta backtrack a little bit. I forgot to talk about this. One of the things I didn't like about it, when she gets captured and he comes and talks to her for the first time, she gets this bright idea, and he stuffs the vent, starts a fire, or he'll have to come in there, and then she tries to stab him with her cane thing they gave her, her crutch.
Yeah, her crutch breaks off.
My whole time, it don't ever explain how she knew how to do all that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird. But anyway, continue. I left that part out.
Yeah. Well, let's break this movie into two, because literally it's almost like a film and then a short film.
Yeah.
So you have the whole cellar, and that's most of the movie.
Yeah.
Like I said, the movie, I remember when we watched it, we went and called the late show that Friday or Saturday. If you were in something like that, would you be annoyed? You'd get annoyed really quickly.
Yes, I'd be annoyed.
And I felt annoyed watching it. And I didn't hate the movie. I didn't hate none of that, even though it really had nothing to do with Cloverfield at all.
Yeah,
Nothing at all. And it's almost like its own separate movie. And with all that, I'll bring something up to you later on that you might not know. But it made you feel like you're in this situation, because I was so annoyed. I'm like, where is all the Cloverfield stuff? And that's how I was in the beginning. And then I'm like, where is all this leading to? And then the whole movie, you just find out more about Howard, John Goodman's character. And the beginning of that movie, that's what it's all about, is really him.
Yeah.
Because you find out that he's already had some other girl down here, and the question is, what did he do with this girl?
Yeah.
You never find that out.
He probably threw in a bad acid.
And then when you find out, when she shows a picture to Emmett, that he's like, dude, that's not his daughter, that's blah, blah, blah. She went missing, a while back. Then you know this is why he hates Emmett. Yeah. Because Emmett has ruined his plans to be down there. Because he already had her by the time that this had happened.
Yeah.
And so his plans were already foiled. And it's not like he couldn't just straight up murder the dude, which he does. But yes, the movie together made me feel annoyed. It made me feel like I was there. I thought that was really good.
Yeah. It's weird using the word annoyed and good movie.
But yeah, I know you wouldn't expect that, right? But it made me feel like I was there because I was so annoyed with it. And that's how I think you would feel being in that situation.
But the two characters, Emmett and what's the girl's name?
I can't
remember her name. Meg, maybe?
I don't know.
But anyway, I can't remember her name, but she's a really good actor.
The chick from Scott Pilgrim Saves the World.
There you go.
Or Versus the World, whatever it is.
I forgot about that movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, they are two people. He's kind of like a country boy, kind of dumb.
You get a good mix of all three people.
Used to be, he had a chance to be an athlete, track athlete, and then you got her, and she's more clever.
City girl designer.
And before you know it, they're working together, and then they find out about all these secrets of Howard as the movie goes on. And then at one point they decide, hey, we're going to build a suit where we can breathe and go outside.
Yeah, like a radiation.
Eventually Howard finds out about this, and he asks them what they're doing, and he found scissors. And Emmett, taken up for her, says that it's all him, she had nothing to do with it, and he was going to try to stab him so he could take over because she didn't listen to him like she listens to Howard.
And that's when the movie really starts.
Yes, and it's epic. Well, Howard has Emmett pull out a big blue barrel and
go ahead.
Pops the lid off. Me, being a Breaking Bad fan, I know exactly what that is. There's certain acids that
hydrochloric acid.
Yes, that burns through anything except plastic.
Let me tell you something. It didn't burn through John. John Goodman's indestructible in that movie.
We'll get to that in a minute. And he tells him, he throws it all in there and makes it vanish. And then him and Emmett are talking, and out of nowhere, boom, shoots him right in the head.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up because at that point, for me, Cloverfield fans, what this movie is all about, anything before that does not matter. There's very little that matters, and the only thing that matters is where John Goodman says, but maybe the Martians found a way here finally.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that matters up until this point. Because if you watch Cloverfield, love the movie, epic movie, you're waiting for stuff like that, and there's no sign of it until this point starts. Because I remember seeing the trailers for this, and in the trailers you see him put the glove on. Now, in my mind, well, in your mind, what would you think when you seen the trailer for this and you seen that scene? What did you think was going to happen? Because you haven't seen the movie, you just see fog rolling out of the barrel, and they're looking at him crazy, and he's looking at him serious. He puts a glove on. What did you expect?
He had some type of way to fight whatever there.
I literally thought he had some type of creature in there.
Or creature.
I thought maybe he had one of the little, I'm not sure what to call them, the little parasite things that were falling off Clover.
Yeah.
In the first one, I thought that's what he was going to pull out of there. Just watching the movie, the trailer before the movie came out, which I knew something else was up after watching this movie. But that's what I expected.
Yeah.
Now that's where this movie gets interesting because there is a big debate going on in the movie that this originally was not a Cloverfield movie.
Yeah.
That it was it was a movie called The Cellar, and then towards the end of it that they added the Cloverfield ending to it, the alien ending, because you find out that's what Clover is by the end of this movie, is an alien. And a lot of things going on the internet about because J.J. Abrams and some other guys that wrote it said, oh, we always knew it was going to be this. And then there's some people that are coming out and honestly saying, no, this was not it at all. This was a completely different movie. It didn't get picked up. They decided to pick the movie up, add this to it, and make it what it was. So there's a lot of debate going on.
Yeah.
Is that true or not? And for a movie that fans like myself were excited for, a lot of controversy involved right there. And a lot of people think it damages the name of J.J. Abrams to a sense, and damages what him and I think it was Matt Reeves that did the first Cloverfield, damage what they built with that movie. But with that said, come this part is where the movie starts. The only part of the movie that anybody that loved Cloverfield cared about. She escapes. As I said, you said, oh, it burns through anything. Not John Goodman. Because this is where she tries to escape after he shoots him. Because he talks about how they can be together. That's when she really realizes he's a psycho.
Yeah.
And so she escapes. She tries to escape. The acid, John Goodman falls in the acid and does not kill him. It just eats part of his face and part of his belly and whatnot. I mean, she should know better. He's John Goodman. She already stuck a bottle to his head.
Yeah.
But when she escapes, that's where everybody gets to what they want to see. Because she knows they know something's flying overhead. And John Goodman don't even know that it's actually an alien ship. They just think it's like a helicopter looking for people or something. And he's already explained you can't go up there, you can't breathe the air, because he doesn't know if it's like the Russians have nuked them, like there's some type of war, or, like I said, he even mentioned a Martian.
Yeah.
This is where you find out, hey, now it becomes a Cloverfield movie. But where J.J. Abrams is saying this is a distant blood relative. And it really shows. She escapes. She sees an alien ship over the corner.
Mm-hmm.
She finds out where she was. She's in the middle of nowhere. And the acid and the fire that caught in the bomb shelter blow up, that's what gets the ship's attention. And what's crazy about this, and man, I'm going to rattle on. Feel free to cut me out, because this is what I want to talk about. Is what, I guess you could say, mythology is getting built out of all this. You see something drop, and she sees it runs through the corn. In my mind, it's one of them little parasite things that I thought was in the barrel. And then, for one, you get excited because now you know that it's the monster in the first movie is of alien origin, which everybody kind of was guessing around, because if you ever watched the Cloverfield, which I called it when I first seen the movie, I talked to my buddy Sanders afterwards that I had mentioned. He didn't see it. You see the little black thing fall from the sky when they're in the Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought, oh, that's the monster falling to the earth. A lot of people think that was a satellite that woke the creature up, which in a sense kind of makes sense because Howard was dealing with satellites. He had mentioned them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to talk about if you're really in depth with this movie, some stuff that comes out of it. So, what comes up, and it's this worm dog looking thing. Would that be the best way to describe this thing?
It almost looks like a trimmer, but metal.
A graboid.
Yeah.
I could see where you would say that. To me, it was kind of bulbous in a way, and it had bulbous layers to it, almost like kind of like a grub worm would. Yeah. In a sense. And,
purple worm for D&D.
Yeah, but that's got scale. But yeah, in a sense, yeah, something like that. It had the crazy mouth and whatnot. So you're getting your first view of a new creature in the Cloverfield universe. Because up to this time, you only have two. You have Clover, and you have the little parasite things let's talk about. They look like they look like little bitty aliens from Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
So now you have a new creature, and it makes you start to wonder. Then, she's trying to escape from this thing. She goes towards his house, and it lights up. And where a lot of people thought that this was, debated that this was a roar, that they're like, oh, the Cloverfield monster's in this. No, it's not. It's a ship. And in a sense, and then you realize not only is it a ship, it's alive, and there's this thing inside of it, and which is interesting because in a sense it kind of reminded me of the big giant worm things from Avengers.
Yeah,
they were all armored up, and and it had a mouth and it had tentacles. So now you're starting to realize that these aliens are like militarized, if that's the right word to say, but it's like a full-scale invasion to a sense, and you're starting to like, wow. So you went from going from first movie, you go from being Godzilla to this one in a sense being like Independence Day.
Yeah.
So that takes a whole new twist on what people were thinking the Cloverfield thing was about, and it gives you a whole new look towards what's been going on and what people's wondered for years. So, friend Sanders, mentioned again, he was like, well, I think, it was like one of the Cloverfield monsters in there. I'm like, well, it can't be. It had tentacles for one, and it was too small.
Yeah.
So, and then it starts dropping all this gas down, and he was talking about a nuclear attack. So, basically right there, you're getting more added to the Clover mythos. I was about to say Cthulhu mythos.
Yeah.
It gives you another aspect of the first movie to talk about, because now you realize that it's not a giant monster movie. This is now a alien invasion movie. So I paused.
Yeah. I saw him hit it and it was moving, and I saw her about to hit it. I'm like, I'm about to knock it over.
They're like, no, water. So, with that being said, would this change your opinion on what you would expect? Because now they're saying there's a sequel coming out, and now you're getting an alien invasion movie. As fans of the movie, does that take away from all of it to you? To know that now instead of getting a new giant monster, you're getting another alien invasion movie.
Not really. I feel that they're somehow going to try to combine the two. And like he was talking about, maybe the monster's inside of it, and you're like, well, it's too big. Maybe it's like an octopus. Maybe it can shrink itself in there.
Oh, wow, that would be really interesting.
That's why
you do know that it's amphibious in a way, because Clover had the bulbs on his head.
Yeah.
In the first one, that's an interesting theory. I have quite the movie as a fan. Man, I could talk about this forever. It leaves me with questions. The biggest one is time-wise, like when does this take place?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
That is the biggest question, because I don't know if you caught this into the movie where she's driving away, she's listening to everything on the radio, which this is Louisiana, and the first one takes place in New York.
Yeah.
So you get the distance, and she's listening to everything on the radio, and she comes in, I think it's Baton Rouge one way, Houston another way, and they're like needing help in Houston. And so she's kind of like debating on what to do. You're on the radio that they've taken back the northern seaboard. So to me, as I take it, you don't know how many days they're down there.
Yeah.
So I would assume that he knew this was going on. And he hit her, it was night when he hit her. Yeah. So I would assume that the night that he hit her and brought her to that cellar is the night that the first movie takes place. Because she wouldn't listen to anything on the radio that would tell her that something like that was happening. So I would assume that, being the doomsday prepper guy from the Navy, obviously he knew things.
Yeah.
And that's what I hate about the movie, is you don't get to learn any of these things.
Yeah.
He knew things. And I was hoping that you would get to learn these things, and they give you this movie and it's all nothing but more questions. Only thing you get answered is Clover is an alien. Giant alien monster. It's an alien invasion. You don't really get anything else out of it.
Yeah.
But the time frame wise was my biggest question. Like I said, I assume that it happened at the same time. The beginning of the movie happened at the same time that movie took place, which would make sense.
Yeah, maybe that's what they'll do though. If they're going to go, you got the New York, you got this. The next movie they shoot in Houston, and actually it's all like only days apart.
Well, how could it be days apart though?
Or happening at the same time?
Because at the end of Cloverfield, they never killed it.
Yeah, or it could be at the same time.
How long were they down there?
Yeah.
Because, okay, the Cloverfield movie takes place in a whole, not even 12 hours. I'd say maybe 8 hours. Because, well, obviously, the movie ends at its dawn.
Yeah.
So, how long were they down there? What's the time frame? Because, in the Cloverfield credits and whatnot, like with the bomb, with them dropping the bomb on the monster, someone finds that camera. So how long is that time frame compared to the time frame this movie takes place?
Yeah.
And I love the idea of that, even though I didn't get any more insight into what this monster is. What besides being an alien, and there's some type of alien invasion going on. So there's, in the end, there's more questions than there are answers.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, what did they do to kill the monster? If they killed it at all. They just said they took it back.
Yeah.
And if that was just militarizing these aliens and whatnot, it's interesting because you have an alien that's a ship, and it's a living ship. And then you have a giant monster running around New York. So what else do these aliens have weapon-wise that's living? Because that's what it seems, everything they've got is living.
Let's say they never killed the Cloverfield monster.
No, that we know of. They just said that they
possibly
took back the seaboard.
Its inside is of alien origin, or maybe technology, and it's a weapon, and not a monster.
So you're saying like more like a cyborg?
Yeah.
In a sense.
And they unleashed that on the bigger population.
Well, that makes sense because he does say that they'll take out bigger population centers first.
Yeah.
Because he was referring to nukes.
And that pulls everybody's attention to something big in New York, and then they can go around the smaller areas and nuke it with this gas.
Well, man, I don't know. I don't like that. I'm getting more questions than I did answers out of this movie. And that's what I hate about it. That's what makes me believe that the people that anonymously come out said...
I think they're telling the truth. I think that they filmed this to be a different movie and they switched it at the end.
Yeah, because no one picked it up, and J.J. Abrams was like, hey, you know what? People want some Cloverfield stuff. He's riding off the, the hype with King Kong.
Yeah.
King Kong versus Godzilla coming out. You had the Godzilla movie, Pacific Rim. And he really realizes that he's always wanted to do something, and so he thought he would take a jab at it. And that's why I love and I hate this movie, because the whole beginning of this movie, the majority of this movie, has nothing to do with Cloverfield to the end. And I feel like it was a money grab in a way.
What's crazy, I think you cut the end of this movie off, you have her break out, find out that the world was not crazy, and he had this all set up, and it would have been an awesome movie.
Yeah, like I would have liked to seen what this movie was supposed to be without throwing some Cloverfield stuff in it, because I honestly believe that's what happened. And I know, and I've had an argument with somebody.
Because he's out in the middle of the field where they got crop dusting and they got all this other stuff. I'm thinking he could have did that where he could have made it like that out there where that woman died.
Well, it's very, very true. But
maybe that's what the original plot was supposed to be. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say. And I guess really in the end it doesn't matter. It's just that in the end I think it's a cheap way to bring a sequel into a movie that, honestly, it's a cult classic, I would say, because I remember going and watching it, and the movie was over, and people were pissed. I mean, like, mad that this movie was like that. And I remember standing up and just clapping, just like, wow, that was awesome. And everybody looking at me like, you're an idiot. And then this was a packed theater, and for people like me who loved that first one, I felt like this was a letdown in a sense. I don't hate the movie at all. I really like the movie.
Yeah.
But in a sense, it didn't give me as a fan what I wanted. And
it was a Cloverfield. It was not a Cloverfield.
It was, yes, you're completely right. It was not Cloverfield to the very end. They just kind of dropped subtle hints that maybe there was an alien, invasion, which he was just like, or maybe the Martians finally found a way here.
Yeah.
So, are they Martians? Are these things from Mars? He just says Martians, and I would assume Martians are from Mars.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, there's, like I said, more questions than answers, and it makes me happy and very curious at the end.
Yep.
Because a lot of people were expecting some answers, and you only got one, and you just got more questions. So if they're in Louisiana and New York's up here, what's going on in between? Because the radio never mentioned anything else. They never really mentioned anything around their area either, because when she's driving, you don't really see any destruction or anything. Like, the corn's perfect.
Yeah.
Nothing was tore down. I mean, even when the little dog monster ran through the corn, nothing was destroyed. So, what she said, the chemical attack. So, what is going on? Like, she was going to Houston, which obviously was really close. Is there something going on in Houston? You know, they said they need help in Houston. What's there? I mean, maybe I do need to get online and look at viral marketing for this thing and maybe find other answers. But like the movie, like us, it leaves us speechless. Doesn't give you a lot to talk about unless you're just a fan of the monsters in general and you barely got any of that and just got a couple answers and just way more questions to ask.
Yep.
And basically, I kind of feel that's what our review is for this whole thing. Kind of just up in the air, just like this movie was.
Big question mark. Which a lot of people are like, why do you like it? Well, I liked it, but it's still a big question mark because it wasn't really a Cloverfield movie.
But with that, we're the Villains to Man. JBD just Von Doom. He's having a great. Keep reading, guys.
Aliens.